I'm wrestling him, and we had this little thing we'd do where he'd get me in the corner and he'd just still that weight into me, you know. That night he went to do it, and he sits on me, and then I hear Andre laughing. I'm farting! And I could feel my fucking shoulder just vibrate like, you know how long a giant can fart? 40 seconds.
Andre's wrestling the Ultimate Warrior towards the end of his career. Ultimate Warrior comes off 100 miles an hour. He's supposed to hit Andre with a clothesline. Andre tied himself up in the ropes. Back then, if you got tied up in the ropes, couldn't get free. It was a 10 count. Nobody won or lost. Warrior comes off the ropes 100 miles an hour. Bam! Just knocks the crap out of Andre. Andre ties himself up the ropes, looks over at Bobby Heenan and goes, You know, in our business, we have a thing called the receipt. There's physicality, but if you stiff me a little bit, either stupidly or menacingly, you're gonna get a receipt. Andre remembered that. And Andre was quiet. He didn't whine or run his mouth. That's it. Next night, Ultimate Warrior comes off, same spot, 100 miles an hour, Andre. Bam! Knocks him smooth out in the middle of the ring. WWF champion, cross-eyed, knocked out. Andre steps over the top rope, leaves. He doesn't pin the Warrior because Warrior's a champion. Warrior wins by countout. Andre steps over the rope. Third night, Warrior comes off 100 miles an hour, hits Andre real nice. Andre ties himself up in the ropes. Andre looks over at Bobby Heenan and goes, he's learning.
When WWE legends were asked about Andre the Giant, the reaction was never loud. No one leaned forward to tell a dramatic story, and no one tried to impress the room with details. Instead, there was always a pause. A quiet moment where the answer seemed heavier than the question itself. It wasn't fear in the usual sense. It wasn't even respect the way wrestlers talk about great opponents. It was something colder. A realization that what they had experienced inside that ring didn't follow the same rules as everything else in their careers. Because Andre wasn't someone you solved, he was someone you had to accept.
That was kind of a moment that really stands out, because I remember how excited I was as a kid. Yeah. I don't really understand how big Andre, not physically, I'm talking about Andre was the first guy. He traveled all over the world. He was the guy that was on the Tonight Show, and he was the face of wrestling before Hogan and any of those guys. And when Andre would come, do maybe 2 weeks, I guess he would do the loop, and then he would go off to wherever else he was going, and to get the chance to meet him. And as a, I don't know, as a 10 or 11 tops, and to be able to do there.
He was a real giant, too.
Oh.
Did you know Andre the Giant?
I knew him very. He's a great friend, man. He was a great guy, great friend. What was so weird is so many people misunderstood him, because just like you're sitting in the chair here right now and you're comfortable, Andre never was comfortable. There was nowhere he could sleep or go to the bathroom or sit, and nothing fit him. And sometimes, not pointing fingers, but sometimes people were so excited to see him, they sometimes were kind of cruel, because I'd walk behind him in airports and I'd hear him say stuff. And so thank God he was a great guy, because we wouldn't have been able to handle him if he had a bad temper or something. He was cool.
Before the bell even rang, the difference was already there. The lights dimmed, the music began, and the crowd didn't just cheer, they stood. Not because they were told to, but because something about the moment demanded it. Across the ring, opponents didn't think about sequences or strategy. They thought about space, about how close they could get, about whether anything they did would actually change what was about to happen. Looking at Andre, it didn't feel like facing another wrestler. It felt like standing across from something that didn't need to move to take control. You could study tape, you could prepare for weeks, but none of that answered the real question. So when wrestlers were asked about Andre the Giant, what did they really say?
Andre the Giant, good guy or bad guy?
It was another piece of shit because exactly. Anytime anybody come, ask him for autograph, he tell the young boy, mother, no autograph. And he was a baby face. I'm the villain, and they call heel. I'm the heel, he was a baby face. And the mother and baby, they come ask him for autograph. He tell the baby and mother, no, get the fuck out of here. Since that, I never respect that French Canadian piece of shit.
Andre the Giant, he was there wrestling. We were filming in Mexico City. So we would go to his wrestling matches. And then after that, Andre would take me out for dinner. Then afterwards, I pulled up my wallet and I wanted to pay. And he says, no, I pay. So I said, no, Andre, look, this is so unbelievable that you got me in to see you wrestle. Got us the front row seats and everything like that. So let me do my share. I'm paying. He says, no, I pay. I said, no, I'm insisting. he grabs me like this, and he lifts me up like a little kid, and he puts me on top of a cabinet of some credenza up there, and I'm sitting up there, and he then goes and pays the bill. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious, I tell you that. But I mean, it shows you, his hands were just 3 times the size of my hands. He just grabbed me like nothing, and he just, while he was talking, was lifting me up. So this was a really, really powerful guy.
Andre the Giant didn't enter the wrestling world the way others did. He didn't climb through the ranks, didn't chase opportunities, and didn't need to prove himself in the traditional sense. By the time he arrived in the major territories, he was already being treated as something different. Not just a wrestler, but an attraction. Promoters didn't build him up slowly. They presented him as a presence that audiences had to see for themselves. From France to Japan to the United States, the reaction was always the same. Crowds didn't just watch him. They reacted to him before anything even happened. In the WWF, that role didn't change. He wasn't defined by titles or records. He was defined by the way the entire environment shifted when he appeared. The numbers never explained what he was.
And I would draw these really elaborate X-rated cartoons. Andre the Giant would laugh so hard. Like, sometimes someone would come in and go, Brett's drawing a cartoon, and Andre would actually get up and like speed down to the room to look in, and then he would just laugh so hard.
There were matches, of course. There were rivalries, moments that became part of wrestling history. The night at WrestleMania 3 against Hulk Hogan is the one everyone points to. The slam, the roar, the image that lived on long after the bell rang. But even in that moment, something felt different. The reaction wasn't just about what Hogan did. It was about what people thought could never happen, suddenly happening in front of them. Andre didn't build matches the way others did. He didn't rely on sequences or technical exchanges to carry the story. His presence alone created the stakes. Every opponent was measured against one question. Could they do the impossible? And most of the time, the answer wasn't decided by moves. It was decided the moment Andre stepped into the ring.
The only match that I truly remember with Andre was in Topeka, Kansas for Geigel. First time I ever wrestled him. We locked up in the ring. I put a front face lock on him. I didn't help him a bit. He picked me right up over his head, walked me over, set me on the turnbuckle, and patted me on the cheek. And I sat there a minute. I said, holy cripe. Nobody has ever picked me up. And I didn't help him.
Right.
The power of him was unbelievable, his strength. And I thought, wow. But Andre, gentleman, through and through. Always, never a bad word for anybody. Never ever gave me a potato. You know, Andre was great.
Good guy outside the ring.
Totally. You walk in the dressing room, it was always, hi, boss. He'd be sitting in the corner playing cards with Skolin.
Yep.
You knew right where Andre'd be, playing cards with Skolin in the corner.
The hardest thing for me was, the first 8 or 9 years, he didn't like me at all and tortured me.
Why was he jealous?
Well, I was hard-headed, bro, when I was younger. I thought I could beat anybody up, and I thought I could beat him up.
Did you keep that energy like when you were in person too, kind of? Like outside?
He just didn't like me. He just really didn't give me the time of day. But when we got in the ring, he showed me how much he didn't like me.
What made Andre different was never just his size. Plenty of big men came and went, each one introduced as the next unstoppable force. But none of them carried the same weight the moment they stepped into the ring. Because Andre didn't need to prove dominance. He didn't rush, didn't force reactions, didn't chase the pace of a match. Instead, everything around him adjusted. The opponent slowed down, the crowd leaned in. Even the rhythm of the arena felt like it had been pulled into his control. It wasn't just about wrestling, it was about presence. He didn't rely on moves, he relied on moments. And those moments didn't come from action, they came from anticipation. From the quiet seconds where nothing happened, and yet everyone knew something was already changing. Inside the ring, Andre didn't need to do much to take control. Sometimes he didn't move at all. He would stand there, shoulders relaxed, eyes fixed forward, and somehow the entire crowd would react before anything even happened. Opponents circled him, testing distance, looking for an opening that felt real, but every step they took made the gap feel larger, not smaller. It was like trying to fight something that didn't follow the same timing. He waited, and then reacted. Never rushed, never forced the moment, and that waiting changed everything. It slowed the match down to his pace, pulling both the opponent and the audience into a rhythm they couldn't escape. You could see it happening, the hesitation, the second guessing, the realization that this wasn't about executing moves anymore. It was about surviving the space he controlled. The longer the match went, the more that control became visible. André didn't need to increase intensity. He didn't need to speed things up. If anything, he did the opposite. He slowed everything down even further, stretching moments until they felt uncomfortable. When he raised a hand, the crowd reacted before the move even landed. When he turned his head, opponents hesitated, unsure if they were about to step into something they couldn't recover from. It wasn't about surprise. It was about inevitability. He controlled when the crowd would explode. Not with speed, not with complexity, but with timing. It wasn't just about what he did. It was about when he chose to do it. And in those moments, it became clear. You weren't dictating the match. You were reacting to it. And André was the one deciding when everything happened. Wrestlers would say the same thing in different ways. You could hit him, you could land the first shot, even string together offense that would stop anyone else. But nothing really changed. You could feel it almost immediately. The sense that you were doing everything right and still not in control. Because André didn't respond the way others did. He absorbed the moment, let you believe you had something, and then quietly took it away without rushing. You could hit him, but it never felt like you were in control. And that feeling stayed with you, not just during the match, but after it. The realization that what you experienced wasn't a back and forth contest. It was something else entirely. Something where control never really belonged to you in the first place. Backstage, the way people spoke about André was different. There was no exaggeration, no need to build anything up. The respect was already there, understood without explanation. Veterans didn't question his role, they accepted it. Because everyone knew that what André represented wasn't something you could recreate or replace. If he chose to give you something in the ring, it meant something. If he didn't, that meant even more. There was a quiet certainty around him. Timing, positioning, presence. It was all deliberate. Nothing wasted, nothing forced. And in a business built on competition, André wasn't someone you tried to compete with. He was someone the entire system adjusted around. Across different eras, the words never changed much. Whether it was his contemporaries or the generation that came after, the description always circled back to the same feeling. Not just big, not just dominant, inévitable. They talked about the way he entered a space and immediately shifted it. The way matches didn't start when the bell rang, but the moment he appeared, the way control didn't look aggressive. It looked calm. It wasn't just about what he did. It was about how little he needed to do for everything to change. And that was the part no one could replicate. Not the size, not the moments. The feeling. In the end, no one really talked about specific moves. They didn't break down sequences or remember exchanges the way they would with other matches. What stayed with them was something simpler. The moment the lights shifted, the sound of the crowd rising, the feeling that something different had just entered the ring. It wasn't about wrestling, it was about presence. André didn't need to do more to be remembered. He needed to do less. Because what people carried with them wasn't what he did. It was how it felt when he was there. He wasn't just part of the match. He was the moment. He was the presence. He was the standard.